You are now tuning in to Stay to the Point Radio.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Fuego Beats. Another episode here, Stay to the Point Radio with everybody.
Everybody. The whole
Everybody.
The whole crew here.
Okay, so we got Fuego Beats there. We got Sideway, myself, Sherry Berry, and Chandra.
We did have Vivian and Matt a second ago, but we got
did have Vivian and Matt, but we had to change the name. But anywho,
Pick them
we are
up.
here. This is Stay to the Point Radio on WFBS 98.1, and we are back for another week of the continuance of last week. Previously, this whole week has been really just enhancing with more and more exposure to other people, that people we know. That personally, we are starting to see in true colors. People getting deleted from Facebook. People are starting to really start separating for real from all this of what's been going on. The tragedy of George Floyd. It's really cool to see though the people that are stepping up. That's been under the rock all of a sudden. Now stepping up, from Michael Jordan donating $100 million to Kanye West donating $2 million, or actually giving $2 million to George Floyd's daughter for her college tuition. I don't know whose college tuition is $2 million, but
he gave $2 million collectively between 3 families, and he did in addition her college fund.
So it's good to see the old Kanye back mentally straight. So it's been some good out of it though. So I don't want to go straight into let's go ahead and start attacking. I want to start off with some good. Obviously, Roger Cordell, whatever his name is, the commissioner for the NFL, is apologizing for the mistreatment, for not listening to his the black players. He says that from now on we are going to start listening. I wasn't listening, now I'm going to start listening. And I think we all need to really collectively come together and unite. So it's good to see that. But I didn't hear anything about Cap and getting his job back, but whatever, we move on. That's the first step. NBA obviously stepping up, doing their thing like they always been doing. I see DC did a little memorial. Well, not a memorial, but a nice print down the street that says memorials, Black Lives Matter, which is really super cool. The mayor had approved that. Wait, you by DC? Have you checked that out yet?
I haven't been up there yet. I'm planning on doing that either tomorrow or Monday.
I want to make a trip just because before it gets taken away or something. I'm that's the ultimate checkmate right there. I was like, that's dope.
I mean, it's real dope because it's leading to the White House.
Yeah, I put a map up when I had seen where it was, and then the name the street Black Lives Matter or whatever. And I was like, how close is this? Yeah. I was like, and I looked, I was like, it's right there next to the White House. I was like, man, that really is cool. The ultimate checkmate. That was crazy.
That's really cool. And I mean, just the people that I heard stories of, for what Fuey was telling, well, he'll speak on it himself. He's been two events, protesting marches. I haven't had the opportunity, and I feel like I haven't been doing my due diligence of doing so. But the time will come, I will. And even if I have to donate my dollars to make sure that happens, to the right organizations anyways. Now y'all gotta watch out for these scams, because this is a perfect time, because we gotta also take consideration there are some scammers still out there to create these little charities and say, hey, donate to this, donate to that, this is for the Black Lives Matter, and it comes up to be somebody else's pocket. So everybody, please be careful who you donating to, who you giving your last dollars to. You just got to watch out for that. All right, so let's get into it. Drew Bree, quarterback for the Saints, Hall of Famer, one of the most successful, if not the most yards. I believe he has the most. He's coming up to the most touchdowns in NFL history. Very, very well-loved guy. All of a sudden has some comments about we referring back to the flag again. So everybody check out this vid.
Years ago, and obviously they were always about police brutality, and now it's coming back to the fore, and a lot of people expect that we will see players kneeling again if and when the NFL season starts. I'm curious how you think the NFL will and should respond to that, and of course you're such a leader in the league. What is your responsibility as a leader in times like this for the rest of your teammates and players in the league?
Well, I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s, and everyone and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
All right, so that right there shows, Drew Bree was talking to, I guess it was a Yahoo reporter through Zoom or through an online interview, and he responded about the flag. I'm sorry, I got interrupted by YouTube still flowing. So let me start off with Sean. Sean, what do you think about Drew Bree's comments on him reflecting back to not standing to the flag?
You're muted.
Unmute yourself, shorty. Shout it.
Sorry, guys. I think that he has a right to say whatever he pleases. I think that if that's his opinion, that's his opinion. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. But that's his honest opinion, and that's the opinion of a lot of Americans, mostly, I will say particularly a lot of white Americans, as we saw evident when the actual incident happened. So though he made it very clear, very, very poised, very articulate in his stance as to what happened and why he was kneeling, people felt the way they felt based on whatever they felt. And so it's not, they didn't surprise me. So I really don't have any view necessarily on his opinion. Does it change my opinion of him? Absolutely. Do I accept his whack apology, which I think was just for show? Absolutely not. And honestly, I don't respect it even more so because I feel like this, at least I know where 45 is coming from. Keep it 100. Whoever you are, be that. But all this, because there are people who genuinely are wanting to be on the right side of history and wanting to do the right thing and wanting to stop huge barriers that have been in the way for people of color for a very long time, because they get it and you don't. I don't want you to say sorry because you don't want to, you're trying to save face. And that's what I feel like he was trying to do. And I don't accept that, and I don't respect him, and I don't respect the way he moves. So who's Drew Brees? I don't know who that is.
Sure.
I would basically say something very similar. We live in a free country, so he had the right to say what he wanted to say. I didn't agree with what he said. I think as a veteran, you know, to say that that's, you know, like his opinion of what this was about and anybody else's opinion of what this is about, and you never served in the military a day of your life, kind of makes it like just null and void for me. Like, you know, because you're making this about something it's not about. And to, you know, I don't know. I hate that opinion of what Colin Kaepernick did in the first place, because it makes absolutely no sense. And you literally changed the narrative completely, even though he, for the dumbest person in the world, explained exactly what he was doing and why he was doing it. And I'm just like, so when I hear him say that and literally use the word disrespect, I'm just like, how though? You know what I'm saying? But again, like Chandra said, you know, he has the right to have his opinion. I do not agree with his opinion. I think his apology, like she said, was a save face. It was literally, you know, not genuine at all. You know, he was very passionate. You could hear it in his voice when he said what he said. So don't come back later, you know, begging, please, please forgive me. No, I'm not going to forgive you. You said what you said. Stand by what you said. You know, I don't like 45 at all, not even a little bit. But like Chandra said, he keeps it 100 all the time. You don't ever have to worry about where Donald Trump stands with anything. He doesn't ever go back and renege on what he said. So it's like, you know, whatever, he's an asshole, but at least he stands by the fact that he's an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like what Drew Brees did, and I don't like that he came back and was like, oh, my bad, you know, I ain't mean it like that. You meant it how you said it, so leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Quick.
Of course, I agree with both Chandra and Sherry. One of the things is he mentioned that when he hears the anthem, he starts to think about how his grandfather and his father and you know, family and how they serve to protect. Well, I would tell him what a lot of black people think of as fear, lynching, burning down homes, crosses being burnt, denied jobs, denied bathroom, all of that. So understand how us as colored people feel and people of color. That's what we're thinking about. So you just explained the ultimate definition of what privilege is, because you think about that.
Right.
While we're thinking about this.
And just to piggyback on that too, also when I look at the flag, something that I stood and said an oath to defend and all of that was also something that I wasn't even considered in when the national anthem was written. If you, they only tell you the good part of the national anthem, but if you go into the other verses of that song, it talks about slaves and Native Indian, all of that other stuff. That's not who they was thinking about when they was talking about freedom and all that other stuff. It was not inclusive of everybody who was here. You know, we were still considered a slave at that time, you know, and all of that stuff. So don't try to make it something it's not, because a lot of things from the Constitution to our national anthem to everything needs to be rewritten and redone, and, you know, all of that, you know, just like no different than how Trump went and changed what was on the Statue of Liberty for his benefit of this immigration thing. Yeah. You know, when Trump's family came to the United States, there were no immigration laws. They just came. You know what I'm saying? But now you on a high horse, and now people need to properly come to this country. Like, I know I'm getting off subject, but basically what I'm saying is, all that stuff needs to be rewritten. Don't just rewrite what benefits you and what serves your agenda. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. And that's anything. Like, I mean, think about it's a policy. How do policies stay in play for 100 years or 300 years, stuff like that? You do revamp it because it wasn't written. I always tell them the Second Amendment to bear arms. You think if they thought those slaves could get guns, they would have wrote it like that? Let's be real. Let's be, be honest with yourself. So yeah, you rewrite it. You do what you got to do. There's nothing wrong. If they say, yo, we got to revamp this Constitution, okay. You know, the only thing I wouldn't revamp is the 10 Commandments. You know what I'm saying? We all know why. But stuff like that, yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, but Drew, now I wasn't truly surprised. I was surprised he said something like that, but I wasn't surprised when I hear it. I'm never surprised, especially now. I expect. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about that later. I didn't expect our schoolmate though. That's not expected like that. But if I see any, I'm being honest with you, because it's a thing of it's not always racist. Is that these people are just especially a lot of white people and others that they just don't understand, and most are not trying to understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, they're trying to stay blinded by the stupid stuff that they think and say.
And see, my thing, I agree with everybody. I mean, there's no point of me even voicing my opinion on Drew Brees' comments because, again, I'm with y'all on this whole situation. But the Drew Brees comment or his opinion on the disrespectful of the flag, and besides the fact that George Floyd just got killed by the kneeling of on his neck to everything that's going on, for him to refer back. I mean, he's a professional football player, so you've been doing interviews for how long, sir? Like, you are a vet in interviews. You're a vet in answering questions with media. I mean, the person didn't even have a mic to your face. Like, you literally were so comfortable. You were in your own home, comfortable enough to answer questions. You could have easily said, you know what? At this time, I do not want to respond to that. You know, nobody would have hated that. Nobody would have hated you for that if you wanted to stay face. So it did surprise me. I'll tell you that. Because Drew Brees just seemed like a guy that he looks like he could blend in any crowd because of the way he carries himself on the football field. He just seems like outside he could blend in any crowd, and he could kind of understand someone you not went through it, not experienced it, but at least understand the black culture.
You would think so.
You would think so.
These many years with predominantly black players.
Exactly. I mean, you in New Orleans. You played in New Orleans your whole fucking life as a football player. Your whole career in the professional world. So no, he played in Chargers, but that's besides the point. He's played longer in New Orleans. But what it did refer was the people that I work with. See, I remember Sherry was talking about how she was going through what she was going through in her workplace. And she asked me, I don't know how you doing, and we never really referred back to what I was going through at my workplace being in Texas. And to be honest with you, it made me, after the Drew Brees comment, it made me look at all these white dudes that I work with. Like, are y'all just playing, safe? Obviously they're not going to talk about it if they don't need to talk about it. They shouldn't have to talk about it, right? We as the black culture go out there to our workplace to continue to be professional, to continue to be happy as much as possible in our workplace and do our job to our best abilities because that's what we're supposed to do. But do we now start looking at the people that we work around and start questioning, oh, what do y'all do behind closed doors? What are y'all saying behind closed doors? And I was like, I don't want to think that way because I would drive myself crazy. So you start figuring out, is that person really cool? Or he just cool in the workplace? Does he just wild out when he gets home around his friends? And then come to me and be like, hey, what's up, Ariel? What's going on with you? Like, everything is all peace and cream. Did he take a picture of him having fun, like putting a knee to a friend's neck? And you see those idiots and those people taking pictures and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like, those things do come, but they go away real fast. But just the thought of it even appearing, it is a problem. And it shows that it's a problem. Looking at police cars, like, I'm flicking a middle finger underneath the door like this. Like, it's just, it's a little bit of, like, it's turning into like a war situation. Like, I have to survive Like, you put it in the back of your brain. You don't think about it. You like, yo, I'm here to work. I'm here to enjoy life. I'm here to embrace the opportunities. I'm here to go through the doors that God opens. But when you start reflecting and start seeing the mirror and start seeing how the white America is, you just kind of take a step back and you want to go forward so bad, but you can't. Your flesh wants to take a step back. Like, should I continue? Should I fight? Should I say something? Like, it's just that battle. It's that constant battle. Like, it's ridiculous, yo. Another thing, a connection to this. It's another football player, a rookie that just got drafted by the Bills. His name goes by the Jake Form.
From Georgia, right?
From Georgia. He used to play with Georgia Bulldogs for the college. He got drafted by the Bills. Now, he releases a text message, a Twitter text message, which I have here, and I want to go ahead and show y'all. Here we go. And he says, have views change on what? Guns, silly Billy. Follow the flow of the text. I thought we were talking about lots of stuff, but no guns are good. They need to let me get suppressors. Just make them very expensive to only elite white people can get them. Ha ha. So he was obviously joking with a friend, but is he really joking? Now,
no.
He goes into, obviously there was this girl by the name of Ashley, which is a friend of the family's, found this message, and what she chose to do, which by the way, she's a Caucasian girl as well, she chose to copy and send out.
It's disturbing. That's why I would have did the same shit.
And her friend was like, "Why would you do that?" Like, and she's messaging, like, "Why would you please?" He's pleading with her, like, "Yo, can you delete it? Can you delete it?" And she was like, "No." She was like, "It's not right." I was like, "Yeah, but we friends. Yeah, we friends, but I'm trying to stop this. Like, I'm trying to stop this whole. And if I see something, I'm going to expose."
Yeah, we're friends, but you're about to get rich off of the backs of the number one consumer in this country because they're going to be buying your jersey and all of this other stuff. And all in all, you don't even like them. Those people need to be exposed. So nobody buys his jersey knowingly anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you want to continue to support him as a black person, because I ain't going to lie to you, I done seen some ignorant black comments too. Maybe even more than whites, which is the sad part.
And other cultures.
And other cultures too. I think I've had a couple of back and forth with Spanish people.
Yep.
I have it's been quite a taxing couple of weeks. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I stand firm on what I believe. Like, I'm not wavering for nobody. If I walk out of this situation with no friends, whatever, I know I've been 100% authentic the whole time. I just, I stand by right. I'm not, I don't know. I see a lot of people whose opinions rocking back and forth, a lot of people, one minute they feel this way, the next minute they feel this way. And it's like, I just side what I believe is the side of right. And I feel like all people should be treated the same. I don't have nothing against, good white people. I have some good white friends, but then, some of the ones that I thought were cool then came out and said some real crazy stuff too. So the good thing I think with this is that it's been, kind of an eye opener, for a lot of us as to see what people really think, So, I mean, that's, to me, that's the positive that came out of it, even though it's kind of scary, But I've also seen some people that have a platform, people that I actually really do like, but I've seen them quiet as a mouse during this entire situation. They went about their life like nothing was going on. They continued their posts on social media like nothing was going on, and didn't use their platform at all, not even a little bit, to even speak on anything that's going on. And I have a problem with that. you know, and I'm talking about regular people, but people that are trying to have a platform, people that are advocating for things. And it's like, if there's anything to advocate for, this is it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that this has to be what, you know, consumes your entire life. That's not what I'm saying either. But to just not say anything about it and just go on about your life. And I ain't gonna mention who I'm specifically talking about. The reason is because I think that she's a good person, and I'm not gonna throw her under the bus like that. But I don't understand. You know, I don't understand it. But I'm not her, so I can't say why or why not. Maybe she's protecting her spirit or whatever from all the, you know, drama. I don't know, but
no, she. There's a possibility. In other words, too, it's a possibility she sold out. I mean, it's just is she might have sell herself out. Like, hey, look, man, I got a company I'm about to start. I need both sides. A lot of my friends are this. You know, I want to continue to have friends. The thing is, it's a lot of things that people are scared to talk and started speaking is because of the fact of fearing of losing something that wasn't theirs in the first place. If you fear of speaking up and scared to lose friends and lose business or whatever have you of what you feel is so valuable to where you can't speak up, then you don't like yourself. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're not able to speak up. You're just a prisoner in your own body at the end of the day. So whoever that is, I'm sorry, I don't know. I might know her, Sherry. I might not. I don't mean to disrespect your friend, but she's nothing but a sellout.
Man, there's dudes like that too that we know that's doing that.
Like I said, I mean, if you're like, especially when I know that you're an advocate for a crap load of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that you're vocal every day about other stuff. And then this happens, and as a Black woman, you are quiet. That makes me like wonder. You know what I'm saying? Like where you sit on the side of all of this, and then you're just sitting there quiet. Like, I'm not going to use my platform for that. You know what I'm saying?
Sad,
it just is disturbing to me.
It's sad. And for people to say, I'm sorry, Sean, I'm going to let you talk, Mama. But for people to say, you know, your platform, your social media is not your main platform. I'm able to speak for myself and all that. Yes, well, social media is a way to speak out further. And so for you to suddenly just choose to have a certain way of handling your social media by being constantly busy, and then all of a sudden get quiet when really things are on the heat of the battle, it just shows who you really are. So you could say, oh, no, I'm really about with you, but why you need to express that on your social media? You express on everything else. So you can't just refer, oh, well, your social media is just your social media. No, that's not. It's not. Social media is your word. This is what you represent. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you put on your page is who you are. And, you know, you might look at it as fun, or I'm making fun duck faces or whatever the fuck it has you, but at the end of the day, that's who you are. So how you express yourself, if that's showing your body, if that's speaking on video, if that's posting like positive memes or negative memes, that's who you are. That's just like wearing a shirt. You're not just going to wear a shirt just because it matches your shoes. You're going to wear a shirt because it represents you. That's just what it is. So for that person to be all quiet, and this goes for everybody. This goes for everybody that's all of a sudden quiet. I'm not on Facebook as much, so I'm not keeping up with y'all Facebooks, and I'm not keeping up with your timelines that much. But if I see a change in y'all ability and y'all my friends, I'm deleting you automatically. As a matter of fact, I'm going to expose y'all off back. And why I'm deleting y'all. Matter of fact, I will go live on y'all and probably tag y'all name and let y'all know why I'm deleting you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know half of y'all motherfuckers anyways, because I haven't seen y'all since high school. So it's like, who the fuck are y'all? And then and stop adding me, by the way, too. Stop adding me to y'all friends. Stop trying to add me to y'all friends. I haven't seen y'all in 20-something years. Stop doing it. It's not worth it. I don't know you. We haven't seen each other in so long. I don't know you no more. We different people. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm done. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
I apologize. Just want to say I know I've been moving around. I have some items that are being moved in some friends that are assisting me. So anytime I have to get up, I do apologize. This is a great dialogue that we're having. As far as, I think you guys have moved on from Drew Brees, but I did also want to say in regards to him, did y'all talk about him, the picture of him kneeling?
Yeah,
no.
I
We saw it, but we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it.
So I think that's also,
that's
also very telling to me, because it just goes to show the bottom line is this: change is not going to happen until people genuinely connect to it, and not just to save face, because he was trying to do that then too by kneeling. You know, and he really did. Clearly, we know he didn't believe that. So, you know, I don't understand, and I fundamentally will never understand how people can care more about dogs than they do Black lives. And so, I don't see how anyone can rationalize in their head how to not be affected or how not to care about a teenager being stalked and killed by a residence trying to play cop, or a young man jogging, minding his own business, and being targeted by a group of white men. I just don't understand how fundamentally, if you saw that story, regardless of who the race was, I don't understand how you can turn your back or not feel any empathy or humanity for a life that is lost unjustly. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's what it really boils down to. It boils down to, unfortunately, for a lot of people, Black lives do not matter. And so I think it's up to the people who believe it, that it does matter, and up to the Black people who know we matter and know that our people matter, that we continue to press forward and continue to appreciate our allies as well. Because we know no movement has ever happened without everyone being on board. Like, it's not just all the Black people, it's everyone, like human beings, Americans coming together and being on board. And so in regards to that, you know, even honestly, the football players lately, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but a lot of football players have now come out. I saw it on Odell Beckham's page, where they've come out and they've now done a video addressing Black lives. And I mean, I hate to say this, but I cut it off immediately and rolled my eyes. They got a very strong side eye, because that makes no sense to me, that you're a Black man in this country and have dealt with, probably since the time you were old enough to ride a bike, or maybe even younger, freaking racism and police brutality, or at least know someone who has, and that you did not stand beside Colin Kaepernick. I told my son when that happened, if he was in the NFL at that time, I would be ashamed of him if he would not have taken a knee. I don't care how much money or whatever else you're going to lose. I would have been ashamed. I told him that. I made sure he understood that. I would have been ashamed of you if you did not stand beside him. And there's power in numbers. And it makes me really upset, not only with the people like Drew Brees, who genuinely are ignorant and don't understand that literally he wouldn't even have a career if it wasn't for the Black people he's throwing the ball to. So that makes me upset. And you call these people your buddies, I'm sure, when you're on the field, and all your life that you've been playing football, I'm sure you quote unquote have, you know, African American friends. But you have to be more than just their teammate. And I think that, you know, our Black people have to be more than just players that run a ball. You gotta speak up, because that could be you in that coffin. You ain't exempt, because people know what your name is. Look at what happened to Cephalosha. It could have been worse than that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, no. That's I feel you the same way. I mean, I look at, like, I was on my boy's page, and one of his Facebook friends, you know, ex-military, probably, because most of his friends are military. But he was just saying that he thought that Colin Kaepernick was the wrong person to send the message. So that was the red flag. I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Well, who's the right one? So that's one thing. The other thing he was saying is that he supports, and this is what I hate. I hate when I hear, I support the message, but it was wrong timing. What do you mean? That doesn't even make sense to me. So when's the right time? You know what I mean? When's the right time? When's the right? Oh, that's not the right platform. What do you mean? It has to be no. Then you say that Colin Kaepernick grew up in a white home in a white neighborhood, so he didn't live in the hood like other Black people to get scrutinized. So I had to jump in at that point. That was 3. I let him go twice. The third time, I'm like, dude, for one, being a person of color, common sense would tell you living in a white neighborhood and in a white family, that's harder than living in the hood around people who look like you. What do you mean? You're not getting scrutinized from them. So that's how. So now I see you're ignorant and you're dumb, and that tells. When I say, I mean, I call it dumb, but you're ignorant, and you don't understand what you're even talking about. You're just talking, and you're saying that the American. You keep talking about the American flag. He kneeled, like you kneel in church. So if I can kneel to God, the flag is higher than God. That's always been my thing. It just makes no sense, and I'm just tired of people that are not, like, they're trying not to understand.
Right, because kneeling is an expression of humility.
Yeah. Yes,
so I guess like I never understood that either. He's kneeling, which is an expression of humility towards the American flag, asking America to stand basically in regards or kneel with him to make a change for police brutality. He didn't even make this a Black Lives Matter thing. Really, he made it a police brutality thing and just brought it to attention that a lot of Black men particularly are dying at the hands of police officers. Police brutality is not only something that affects Black people. However, the bigger problem is the numbers that affects unarmed Black people. If you shoot a crazy white guy that's holding up a store or something like that, and he gets shot because he refuses to let go of his weapon, in other scenarios that I've seen where they didn't make it out of the situation, he was armed. We're talking about unarmed Black men. We're not talking about everybody that dies at the hands of the police. But what we see as a trend is that when you're Black, your skin color makes you armed and dangerous, even when you're not. And that's a problem. So you can say what you want, but it's a problem, and I'm tired of people arguing this like it's not a problem. It's a clear problem. Nobody's making it up, and somebody trying to make conspiracies out of this whole, George Floyd thing. There's no conspiracy behind it. It was recorded, something that happens regularly. And this man unfortunately lost his life about it. And now we're here. But we're not doing this for George Floyd. So I hated that narrative too. This is not just about him. So that was bothering me, because all of this for one man, I can't even count how many of those posts I read. All of this for just one man. People are dying in the streets, you're burning down buildings, blah, 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 on and on. It's not just about one man though. We've been doing this for years, before me, before my mother. This is generations and generations ongoing, because you don't want to listen. And now we're here. And then people talk about, Martin Luther King is an example of peaceful protesting. That's where you're wrong. He tried it and accomplished almost nothing in it until after he was killed, because y'all killed him too. And then certain things in regards to the Civil Rights Act began to be passed. But before that, who knows when all of that stuff would have been passed? He would have still been marching and all of that and praying and all of that peaceful stuff y'all talking about. It took for protests and riots to break out after his death for y'all to pass civil rights laws.
Yeah.
The Fair Housing Act and all that wasn't passed until after he died.
And that's
so, don't say, Abraham Lincoln, you killed him. JFK, you killed him. Malcolm X, you killed him. Martin Luther King, you killed him. And the list goes on of people who tried to make a change. The leader of the Black Panther, you killed him. Anything that was for the agenda of the Black community, you killed them. Period. So don't sit up here and say, there's a right way to protest. There is no right way to protest for Black things. Anything Black, they don't want to hear it. Like, be honest with yourself. Because I know y'all sit around the conversations, whether or not you're for us or against us, the color of your skin makes you privileged enough to sit around those conversations so you know how your peers think.
My question
and you're a liar if you say anything else.
My question is, how long are we going to continue to be Martin Luther King before we turn to Malcolm X?
I really think that the Martin Luther King approach is not really where people are. Even the most peaceful people are not there anymore, because people are
patience. We losing patience. It's starting to show. Like we losing patience. It's too much. Now all of a sudden we have over 2 or 3 more that just showed up. We got an elderly man that just got pushed like it was nothing.
But see the thing,
like
the thing,
your mic is really low.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. The thing that pisses me off the most is that I'm continuing to hear people say, of course I'm not racist. When you start out with that, I already know what you're about to say. So, well, look at there's white men that have been killed. Okay, well, stand the hell up. You can't get mad. And I made this an example. If I'm getting abused, right? Okay, and you're getting abused, and I stand up to not being abused, and you don't, how can you get mad at me? Because I don't want to get hit no more. How can you get mad at me? You must be okay with it. And they are. That's what I made that analogy when Trump got elected. I told them it's just like me. If I hear a worker in Applebee's being berated, say by management or anybody, I'm probably not going to go to that Applebee's. But they will go because they like the burger and because it didn't affect them. But that affects me when I see somebody else getting hurt like that. And all these white people coming out and standing in front and march. There's more at these marches I've been to. There are more white people than anybody out there. It is not just people of color. It is mainly them. And the one dope thing that Saya was talking about, what I was seeing, is I saw MS-13. I don't know if y'all familiar with them, but they don't rock with Crips. They don't rock with Crips. Bloods out there. They don't rock with Bloods. I saw them walking down the street arm to arm together. That's what America did not want. And I'm telling you, you did not want people to be united. And unite these people, it's going to be a wrap. I'm trying to tell them, but innocent ones that are nice, that's who I'm worried about. I'm worried about innocent, white friends that actually are down for the cause, but because they're white, you're going to jump on them. People will do that too. That's my concern at the end of the day, but it is what it is. But I just don't like when you make comments like that, like, oh yeah, other white people. So then it's because you're mad because we're standing up, because now we're tired of it, and we heard about Trayvon. We've heard the stories about others. We've seen little videos, but we never, and I never seen a cop in his hands in his pocket take the dude's life on camera. That was the straw. And that's what everybody's like, oh no, I cannot have this anymore. But the minorities are pissing me off. Like specifically, I'm gonna say it. I see a lot of people of Mexican descent and other like Central South American, not understanding, but mainly Mexican, that's taking up for this. I want, and I know y'all don't want to apply, but taking up for Candace Owens, shit like that pisses me off. How in the world can you hear this chick now he had a record. Who the hell cares? So do you, Candace. You were trying to track people online illegally. But because you didn't get charged, you're okay. It's okay, you can do that.
There's a lot of people who don't have records that just knew the right people for them not to have records.
They had we talking about even with the quarterbacks, wasn't it Big Ben with those rape charges? Just because you ain't get charged. Y'all still didn't let Kobe Bryant off the hook and he didn't get charged. But so I'm like, that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about, is that you feel. And then I'm like, our presidents, we celebrate President's Day, and it kind of bothers me when I hear our founding fathers, they put a lot, like they did a lot for us and we should respect, and President's Day, we have to respect. And I'm thinking about most of the presidents, specifically, I'm thinking about Thomas Jefferson, where he had kids with his wife's little mixed sister. And that's okay, who was more than likely underage. And that's okay. That's who we're going to put up and be proud of. And that's who you're talking about when you're talking about not kneeling. That stuff pisses me off. It's better for them not to say anything.
Because somebody put this really, I meant to send this to you the other day, because I was really disturbed that, well, Black people, y'all complaining, but your life is the way it is. because you guys can't just, why don't you start with pulling your pants up, going to school? That, like, it was a whole list of stuff, right? So I addressed every little last one of them, right? And it was crickets after that, because first of all, the number one demographic of college graduates right now is Black women. Whoop, whoop. Yep. Okay, so sit down, because you're talking about we need to go to school. We go to school. You know, that's number one. Number two, like, you talking about fix our neighborhoods. You mean the ones that we were pushed into because we couldn't live amongst white people? You mean those neighborhoods? So you mean our kids need to go to school? Why don't you stop at one of those schools that receive way less funding? Like, I'm talking about extremely less funding. I did the research on it, and the difference in funding that a suburban school versus a quote unquote ghetto school receives is a significant difference. If you go to those schools and visit those schools, you see that they're not being funded very well. And you go to those schools and you tell me how well your children would do in those schools, or how excited they would be to go to those schools every day. You know, like, don't comment on something that you haven't even bothered to educate yourself about. That's number one. You know, so all of, like, our grandparents and stuff, they were living in certain areas because they weren't allowed to live in other areas. It is only really until our parents' generation and our generation that we could just live wherever the hell we want to. And even then, when we live in these places, if you have money and you're a Black person, you're a liar. And I know, because I've been there, where you live in these higher end suburban areas. And as soon as you move into the neighborhood, everybody's looking at you. Everybody want to know your story. Everybody wants to know, how could she live? How does she live here? No different than how many Black men have been pulled over in a Mercedes or a BMW or whatever and have been asked how they can afford that car. You know, so we still live in a time where whites expect us not to have anything. And then when we do have something, somehow we got it illegally. Somehow there's got to be an explanation. Somehow we must be entertainers.
Or drug dealers.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing I tell people all the time, I said there's a couple things, but one of the things is the fact of, I'm going to ask you guys this question, right? Have you ever had this talk with any of your aunts, parents, whoever, before you leave the house? Specifically, I'm talking to Saya because as a man. But so if you can feel me, you know, if you had this conversation, just let me know. Conversations like, don't forget, when you buy that, make sure you get a bag and a receipt.
Yep.
Hey, you're jogging. Be careful, because somebody might think you did something and you're running from it. All my white friends, no. Then you don't understand. Most of my white friends, they know that they don't have to deal with that. And that's why I respect and love them so much, because they know I could do the same thing you do and it will be looked at totally differently. It's just the way it is. I'm not okay with that. Of course not, we're not. And they know that. But those are the ones that I'm seeing on the front line. They're the ones really trying to do something, you know, and all that. But if you didn't have that conversation, and mind you, you may be Black and not have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure in a lot of cases you really did. You had similar conversations of what you had to do. You know, my wife's grandparents came to the country, like, and the grandmother wouldn't let them speak English or Spanish because of how society would view them if they spoke Spanish. Some changed their names. Like, all that, because it's wrong, it's messed up, but that's all we're talking about. And literally, all you have to do, and I'm talking about everybody, even I don't care what background, but specifically when you're talking about the white population, just understand that. Be real about it. The same way I'm real when I know that there's me and Sherry, and there's a chance that we go for an interview, and there's a chance that I might get a higher salary than her because I'm a guy. I know that's true. I'm not, or if it's a secretary job, she might, because I have been through, she might get it before me because they depict it as a woman's job. You know what I'm saying? So, but I know that. that doesn't mean I have to be okay with it. That doesn't mean I have to kick and scream and curse. But just understand, like, stop trying to fight it and make all these, oh, well, cops do this and it's not because you're black. We talking about police brutality. I haven't even seen people say about white. I heard a couple of people, most people just talking about police have excessive force. It doesn't matter what color the police officer is. They get aggressive. That's it. But,
yo, so with that being said, man, we're going to go ahead and go into a commercial break. We'll be back. We'll be back. All right.
Right. Daddy changed the world. Wait, we don't.
He did what?
Daddy changed the world.
Daddy changed the world. That's right. Daddy changed the world. Wait, we don't. I need you guys to understand. I need you to understand how painful this is. I need you to understand how painful it is to be reminded every day that your race means nothing. And that isn't the case anymore. That is never the case anymore. We are going to try today. We are a physical representation of our support for George Floyd. Bang on them. Bang on them. Bang on them. We are a physical representation on our support for Sandra Bland. Bang on them. We are a physical representation on our support for Trayvon Martin. We are a physical representation of our support for Stephen Lawrence. For Mark Duggan.
I watched myself where the cops go to the SUV where Floyd is sitting. They get him out. At first I thought there was a struggle right there, but it looks as if they reached in and pulled him out and immediately handcuffed him. It was very quick. And James, then they walk him over to the sidewalk and sit him down. No problem. He's still cuffed. Would you agree with that procedure that far?
Yes, so far at that point in time, it's textbook. I do agree with it.
I mean, I'm not sure why he had to be cuffed on a counterfeit 20. I don't know what was said inside Floyd's SUV that he was sitting in, but he got arrested. And so far, so good. He's cuffed, he's sitting on the sidewalk, no problem. Where does everything go sideways? Why are there riots? Because this guy was killed by a cop. That's why.
That's it. Don't think for a second that he represents who these cops are from all over the county and around this nation. We go out there to help people, not do that nonsense.
Ask him to go peacefully tonight. We thank you and we pray in your name, the Son, the precious Holy Spirit. He's in charge of everything. Thank you.
Oh, it takes 1 second. Amen. To meet down. That's Amen. It.
Daddy changed the world.
He did what?
Daddy changed the world.
Daddy changed the world. That's right. Daddy changed the world.